Jim, when I was looking at Southern Cal yesterday in practice, I didn't think Gibson was as tall as listed, but now seeing him up against Wright, he's every bit as big.
And it's going to be Gibson down low on Hansbrough.
He's a shot blocker, but Hansbrough's the kind of guy that occupies a lot of space and really bangs inside.
Hansbrough coming off that big 33-point performance, best individual performance in any one game in this tournament. Gives it right back to Ginyard on a little give and go, and foul collected right here on Nick Young of USC.
And Jim, these two teams faced each other last year, and surprisingly, although North Carolina got off to a lead in the first half, Southern Cal just wore them out. North Carolina shot 25% in the second half, and it was the biggest loss that Roy Williams has ever had as a coach at the University of North Carolina. Lost by 15 in that game. Ginyard was a starter there, 6 points, 4 rebounds, but he finds himself in an unusual position starting night because of Terry's illness.
Whereas North Carolina did not have Lawson or Wright or Ellington, these three decorated freshmen, but very much same lineup for USC. Many of the parts. Here we see Nick Young.
Gibson and Hackett obviously not there. Nice turnaround spin move by Young. He's got Wright on him, and Wright's going to have an entirely different makeup. Normally he's playing a guy in the low post. He's out on a wing now.
That's Lawson with the ball stripped away. And Pruitt chasing it down to the corner.
This is a very quick team here in Southern Cal. There you see Wright again. He's out on a wing against a guy that thinks he can take him one-on-one.
Now low, and that's, well, but maybe Ginyard touched it last, but we'll say it's off USC. And there's Tim Floyd in his second year for the Trojans. He's been to the Sweet 16 before, but that was at Iowa State 10 years ago. And interestingly, Billy, it's the third time in the tournament he's coached against Roy Williams. Hansbrough long with his first shot.
And you see he's playing without the mask. The mask obviously was necessary due to that broken nose he had. And there's another quick move, that time by Hackett. But the mask was worn in the ACC tournament. It really bothered him. Then they used a different mask in the NCAA tournament the first round. And now he's playing without either.
Ellington all there. There's some move the last time down the floor by Hackett. Now trying to set up Pruitt.
Nice rebound by Gibson.
Gets up the little shot and gets it to drop.
You can see great team quickness. Normally, North Carolina is the faster team than who they play. But right now, I see Southern Cal having an advantage.
And that's Lawson, so quick.
Jim, the last time Lawson played against a Pac-10 team, he played against Arizona and put on one of the great shows in a road game that I've seen by a freshman. Just controlled that game, doing much what you saw right there, penetrating, scoring, or dishing.
Young from the corner. And Ellington underneath.
Important for North Carolina to get Hansbrough and Wright down and low, doubling up on Wright.
Sets up Ellington. And he misfires again, means Young are at the position.
Interesting that North Carolina not getting any second shots so far in this ball game.
And foul called against North Carolina as Taj Gibson, a freshman. There is Roy Williams. I mentioned he's gone against Tim Floyd on 2 occasions in the NCAA tournament. Back in '91 when Roy was at Kansas, Floyd was at the University of New Orleans, and they played in the first round, and it was a tight one with Kansas winning 55-49. Kansas would go on that year all the way to the championship game. In fact, on the way, Roy would beat North Carolina in the national semifinals.
Kind of a game that remembered in history where Dean Smith was ejected. Bill Guthridge took over a little bit earlier than he anticipated at North Carolina. And Roy Williams then went on to play in the championship game against Mike Krzyzewski and the Duke team that eventually became the national champion.
The last foul out on the court was on Hansbrough, his first.
Both teams playing straight match-to-match, man-to-man matchup. See if Wright with much more size than Young and get the ball down the low post.
Boy, that just hit a dead spot on the back of the rim for Hansbrough. You thought it goes in.
Jim, he's kind of amazing. He puts up shots when he's down the low post, and they are dead on the backboard. You don't see him take a shot from that distance and get it to still hit up there. So
there's a three. That's Stewart. Roderick Stewart.
He's the new career leader for three from Southern Cal, and that showed that good shot he has, and lost it again, penetrating.
And that one is on Pruitt, his first. Now, North Carolina, the first two rounds, Billy, Eastern Kentucky and Michigan State, they never trailed the first week by more than 3 points. Down 5 here in the opening minutes. That game with Michigan State was a lot tighter than the final score would indicate. Ginyard in and out.
And you can see that Gibson is going to let Ginyard have that shot. Nobody guarding him. They're going to make him prove that he can make the 15-foot jumper.
How much of a difference is it with Ginyard in there with Terry not starting?
Well, Terry is a guy that when he plays well, North Carolina is tough to beat. When he doesn't play well, they have been beatable. Here's a fast break opportunity. First time without Lawson handling the ball.
That's Lawson from the wing, and that, again, over everything. So we hit the first break, and the Trojans get off to a fine start. Nick Young, first team all Pac-10. He's got 4 early. There's Rashawn Terry, the senior. Again, not starting this game. He's been under the weather all week with strep throat, but we are told he is expected to play.
Great pass.
And Young able to finish.
What made that a great play is Stewart has the jump shot, but hit the open man. North Carolina expected him to take the jumper.
That's right. Giving it over to Ellington, and Ellington hits the shot this time.
Jim, North Carolina now has on the floor 3 freshmen that made all ACC tournament first team. Is that the first time it's ever happened in the conference history? But that's kind of some pretty good recruiting if you got a class that can do that at the end of the season, your postseason tournament.
North Carolina able to force the turnover, although Hackett made a plea that that was not off his hands. Still arguing the call.
And Young is playing right, and so far right, who can play over the top of even big people, has not been able to get himself posted up. Young doing a nice job with his position defensively.
I know you've seen North Carolina numerous times this year, but what do you think of USC after 5 minutes? Your first look at them in action.
Jim, what you have to like is the overall team speed and quickness. So it's a tough matchup situation. They've got nice team size, and all the guys can really run. Gibson so far doing a nice job on Hansbrough as well. Wide, he's kind of like Wright. He's got that height and he's got that wide arms.
Well, Wright lost it, gets it back.
He's not going to take the jumper.
Ginyard will, gets the 3 from the corner, and Young had the position on Wright.
But USC will let him take that shot. We may see Danny Green come into the ball. You know it's going to be Miller and Green are going to come in there to try to get some offensive firepower. The way that Southern Cal's packing it in defensively. Nice ball.
Thompson, and that goes +1 for Gibson.
Well, that showed me something went right by Hansbrough, is playing him outside.
So that foul on Ginyard, his first. And Gibson, by way of Brooklyn, New York, and several other stops after spending his freshman year in high school in New York, and then high school ball at 2 schools out in California. He's had quite a freshman year for the Trojans.
Well, he played for the famous Gauchos here in New York, and his coach there, Paul Brown, said it'd be a good idea for him academically to get out of the city. He did, and obviously it's paid off for him.
Lawson unable to chase it down, going back to USC with an 8-point lead.
An 8-point lead in playing their game. North Carolina has not been able to get their inside power. Hansbrough now out of the ball game. Thompson, who had the outstanding game against Arizona, in. Good low post player. But Gibson's been able to give North Carolina more than they can handle. And here he is touching the ball again.
Nice move. Thompson has just entered the game, and that's, again, USC giving it back.
Now, he can't become overconfident with his ability to go about Hansbrough, and Thompson also is going to have problems handling him the way he can dribble that ball, but he can't occupy too much of it. North Carolina a little bit out of sync right now.
The lob. And they're going to call the foul on Hackett. It says, wait a minute, my hands are straight up in the air as Wright comes over his back.
But Jim, he took his legs out from underneath him right there. And there's the case where Wright and the North Carolina guards throughout the course of this year realize there's almost no place they can throw the ball up on that backboard that he can't get to it with those long arms of his.
We saw Dwight Lewis checking in for USC. Freshman from Metairie, Louisiana.
Lawson was effective penetrating with the dribble. He may have to do that to start the offense all his own.
Now Green, that shot blocked by Pruitt. Taken off, it's Lewis just into the game and over fires it. Back out to Young, who slips and travels.
Jim, we're seeing in Southern Cal a lot of guys that can put the ball on the floor and break down their defender off that dribble.
North Carolina shooting 30%, Billy, that's it.
Well, we talked about the loss last year against Southern Cal. Shot 25% in the second half, and they're not getting much going here either.
They've just brought back in Hansbrough.
Hansbrough back. Gibson on him. They're going to have to get him the ball down low and see if he can overpower the freshman. Really like the way this Southern Cal team is matching up. They're awful quick.
Miller, the senior from Charlotte, and the shot goes out of bounds right back to USC.
Roy Williams has to be very disturbed. His team number one is not going to outquick Southern Cal on the break because they really have great team speed against them, but they've got to go to their power game inside. I love what Southern Cal's doing right now, spreading things out, breaking people down one-on-one off the dribble.
Well, they've held Carolina to 7 points through 7 minutes, out-rebounded them by 9 so far. Young wide open. You can't do that if you're North Carolina.
Again, it's all taking place, Jim, because each player can break his guy guarding him down.
That's last touch by the Trojans, who have a double-digit lead.
Roy Williams going to his bench very liberally as he always does, trying to find some combination to get the offense started.
Bobby Fraser next to take the floor with Lawson to the bench.
Hansbrough has one little jump shot, and that's all he's touched the ball.
Gibson
beats him to the spot, doesn't
really
he?
Does.
Yep.
Shuffling those feet so fast.
Yep. Really good defense by Gibson.
Green almost has it stripped away. 5 on the shot clock. Hansbrough bouncing it in to Thompson. It's up a soft shot off the back of the rim. Underneath, that is Deon Thompson from California, from Torrance.
Jim, he has excellent footwork. Big man keeps the ball above his head. The first shot was altered by Gibson, but good putback on his part.
It ends a 6-point run by USC. Gibson out. Give it back to Pruitt. Big quick step. Spins it up. Spins out.
Got his own rebound.
Pruitt to the other side. Short. And Thompson again making a play.
Boy, those are 2 missed opportunities by Pruitt. Normally he'll put that away. He's a tremendous scorer.
Out to Miller from the wing. He's wide open and he hits it.
Green has got a much better offensive motor than does Ginyard. And so he's going to be a little tougher to guard for Southern Cal.
Wes Miller brings the heels within 6.
Again, another breakdown on the dribble.
Hackett trying to give him the no-look pass. Is picked off by Fraser.
He's going to take that one.
Trying to bank it in, and yes, indeed. And Hansbrough rips out the mouth guard. And that's his second foul, Billy. And a break in the action. 2 fouls on Hansbrough. Hansbrough to the bench, and Terry in for the first time, Billy. Here he is defending now on Hackett.
Terry, who had a good first 2 rounds of the NCAA tournament. How about that by Young? That was over Wright's outstretched hands.
That is Nick Young, and he put on a show yesterday here in practice. Gifted talent.
Southern Cal with a big advantage, being able to break down the North Carolina players off the dribble.
And Wright fought for that pass down low.
That's his specialty. Throw it to him in the low post up as high as you want till he'll get it. And he has a terrific touch. But again, North Carolina's problem is, who can they match up with that they can stop off the dribble? So far, no one.
Pruitt. Gibson.
Right over the top of Miller. Everything happening very easy for Southern Cal. North Carolina's defense a no factor in this ball game. You can see Gibson. He's got Thompson. He better stay with him. He's trying to double team right.
It's Terry. Got hit on the arm, and he'll head to the line.
Jim, something about this young man, as we said, he's been sick. And here we see Nick Young, second leading scorer in the Pac-10. Terrific turnaround jumper. He was number 2. The leading scorer was Aaron Brooks. But he's got the outside shot. He's got the ability to put the ball on the floor and beat his man. And as you mentioned, Jim, in that dunking show he put on yesterday, there's almost no limit as to what he can do exploding off the floor.
Already with 9 points, 6 rebounds. You were about to say about Rayshon Terry.
Yeah, one of the things, if you start looking at North Carolina's losses, when Terry scores 5 points or less, they're in trouble. When they shoot 26% or less from 3, they're in trouble. When they shoot 44% or less from the floor, they're in trouble. And so far, all those stats are coming up, and that's why Southern Cal's leading. Nice backdoor cut by Hackett.
Young, fade away, front of the rim. Look at Lawson. I'm not sure anyone's faster. Right with the putback.
He is an offense all to himself. He pushes that ball down the floor. Even though he didn't have numbers to start, he created numbers as he went along.
Lewis steps. Coming up on AT&T at the half, Greg Gumbel, Clark Kellogg, Seth Davis take you out for a live look at Oregon UNLV, and they'll get you caught up on all the latest tournament news. Plus an AT&T Naismith Watch update, all coming up on AT&T at the half.
Jim, you know, one of the things that can hurt you when you can break down your players off the dribble, everybody starts going a little bit one-on-one. They think it's too easy, and that's what's happened to Southern Cal now. They're getting away from their game. Surprising to see Hansbrough back in the game with 2 fouls, 8 minutes to go.
He's only down for, well, less than 3 minutes.
Yep. And we're talking about a young man that came off a 33-point game against Michigan State. You know what surprised me most about that Michigan State win for North Carolina? They had a 40-29 rebound advantage, and we all know how Tom Izzo works on his rebounding.
The last foul was on Lawson, but this one's going against Young. That's his second. And how about that?
Huge call here, Jim. That could have been number 3. Hansbrough matched up against a guy that normally he wouldn't be able to handle on that dribble.
Pretty gutty trying to draw the charge with 2 fouls.
And a broken nose.
Yeah.
He'll never deny this young guy. As I said, I think he's the toughest kid in college basketball. Not afraid of anybody. But so far, he's really been held down. Terrific job by Taj Gibson defensively.
Ellington able to shake off Hackett.
Yeah, but he was worried about the defender there.
Ellington, though, able to get the ball back, and it rolls in, and it's a 2-point USC lead.
Beautiful, nice touch. Tough shot.
And another basket by Stewart.
Rolling off on the curl move by Stewart. Tough for a left-hander to get that shot off. Squared up nicely.
Here's Hansbrough.
Double team, though. And
he traveled. 2 under 8. Timeout. USC is led by as many as 11. But it's now a 4-point game. Trojans on top. 7:53 to go in the first half. The winner of this one taking on Georgetown Sunday in the East Regional Final. USC shooting 59%. It's Stewart who's hit a couple from the outside. Not this time.
Nice block out right on Gibson. Again, let's see if Lawson can get something going against Pruitt with his dribble penetration. White looking for the lob here, but Gibson has really got some long arms too.
Green. And that ball saved by Gibson. Green fired up to 3.
Better stop him.
Pruitt Wide open all-time three-shooter at USC, and misses again.
I love what Southern Cal is doing in regard to this dribble penetration. North Carolina has not been able to stop them, and that was just unfortunate for Southern Cal. They didn't get the easy jumper. You can see North Carolina, I like to not able to explode like the Southern Cal players have.
Right.
Don't forget about it when he's inside. Even a shot blocker like Gibson can't get to that one.
Lawson says, wait a minute, what did I do? That's his second.
Those are important fouls, Jim. We've seen that how often in NCAA tournaments when a good player picks up a cheap foul. We saw it in the case of Hibbert in the first game. It almost cost Georgetown that ball game. Cheap fouls, 2 of which put him on the bench finally with 5 fouls, fouled out of the ball game. Georgetown had to play down the wire without him. You don't want a guy, if you're North Carolina, you don't want a guy like Lawson picking up a cheap one.
Quentin Thomas has come in place of Lawson. So Lawson and Hansbrough out with 2. Young right here with 2 stays on the floor and hits the jumper. Nick Young.
Again, just going one-on-one, breaking down their defender off the dribble.
Now with 11. 3-point shot. Danny Green gets it back into right. Almost beautiful unstoppable touch. That down low.
Has that long extension on those arms. He had against Boston College a 20-point game in the ACC tournament. When he gets it down and low, he is tough to handle. North Carolina for the first time tries to trap.
Young again. Ginyard back on the floor, snaps the outlet. And Young up there defending tightly with 2 fouls. Ellington.
He likes that shot, Jim.
Yes, he does. And he ties the game.
Loves coming off the curl. North Carolina on the floor right now has what? Only 2 guys that are normal starters. So Roy Williams, who has been masterful at the way he uses his bench this year, but he will go deep.
They've made it back from 11 down. 19-8 stretch. Pruitt right back in front by 3.
But it is a one-on-one game. Everybody kind of doing their own thing. Very little passing.
Right again.
Nice tap.
Wow, that's Danny Green coming in.
Just out-hustled. Again, watch this, Jim. It's one-on-one basketball.
Gibson missing the short shot.
And when you do that, nobody's there to rebound.
Steal by Pruitt. Stewart takes off left side. Lewis to the right. Lewis comes in on the wing. And it's blocked by Green. Oh, it's stolen back by Pruitt. And a foul. Gabe Pruitt.
Tremendous play by Pruitt. Because North Carolina had numbers going in the other direction. This Southern Cal team has got a lot of quickness and guys can really get off the floor.
What a sequence. Block. And then the Velcro. Watch this catch. Boom.
And Jim, the thing is, without Lawson in the ball game, Thomas did not come back to get that ball back from Green. That was the reason for the turnover.
Keith Wilkinson, number 23, 6'10", sophomore from Mission Viejo, California, in for Southern Cal for the first time. Hansbrough returns.
And Pruitt, who missed the first 11 games of the year because of academic problems, came back and had 17 double-figure games thereafter. So you know he can put some points on the board.
He averaged 17 a game last year and was first-team all-conference in 2006. Terry. And that one, too. It's the soft roll off the back of the rim.
That's something somewhat like Hansbrough's jump shot. Look at that crossover.
Quick as that. Put it in, then by Gibson.
North Carolina may have to go zone against this team because they can't stop the dribble penetration.
Rayshon Terry with the 3. USC leads by 1.
It's interesting, North Carolina getting back in this ball game on their offense. That was an offensive charge, nothing called. Hackett down.
Hackett hit in the right eye, and he's still down at the other end.
And Jim, it'll be 5-on-4 now. Let's see if North Carolina get the ball inside.
Hackett now makes his way back down. Hansbrough short on the shot and throws it off a USC player. .337 to go in the half. And exciting action in this one. Continental Airlines Arena. Jim Nance and Billy Packer on hand, where North Carolina trailed by as many as 11, now down 1. They've had 9 different players score in this one.
Jim, you can see how good the Pac-10 was this year. Southern Cal was picked preseason 6th in their league. Pac-10 doing much better in the NCAA tournament than the ACC, which has really had some problems. That's going to be a walk, putting the ball behind his hands with a little step. The ACC's kind of with 7 teams more than any other conference, finds themselves at 6-6 in the tournament.
This is
far
the last
away
one
the worst
left.
record, yeah. Pac-10 doing extremely well. 6-3 right now with UCLA still alive, Oregon still alive, and obviously Southern Cal.
Gibson, right over right.
Nobody helping right out. Gibson plays over him. He's an equal matchup there.
Isn't it something? Terry doesn't start tonight. He's got 7. Hansbrough, their top player, only 2. And Miller trying to hit a second one from the outside.
Gibson doing a great job on both ends of the floor.
USC leads it by 3. Trojans in front at one time by 11. This is Hackett. The freshman drive it in for the 5-point advantage.
Goes by Terry. Came back out after that timeout where he kind of got hit in the eye by Stevenson.
Right with the jumper. That's way short.
Altered by Gibson.
Gibson grabbing everything.
Now he's got to be wearing down a little bit, Jimmy. He hadn't come out of the ball game, but he has certainly played a tremendous first half, considering the fact he stopped Hansbrough and Wright.
He's got 8 rebounds. Here's Stewart. Stewart up for a good jumper. No. Hansbrough pulls it down. Hansbrough with 2 fouls here in the first half and still playing. Lawson also has 2. And he goes back outside to Terry. Hitting the 3, not this time.
Ooh, Stewart almost walked on the play.
And a pass that almost cost him. Too casual. Getting it back to Gibson. Here's Gibson. And that's a charge. Hansbrough again able to draw a charge with 2 fouls.
Hansbrough sticking that nose right in there again.
Here in the East, Georgetown already on to the Elite 8. What would you say about that win over Vanderbilt?
Well, I think that Coach Thompson really pointed out how well Vanderbilt played. Their style of play really gave Georgetown a lot of problems. A terrific job by Green to get that shot off at the end of the ball game. We know what an outstanding player he is, but an outstanding contest.
They sit Hansbrough down with 1:40 to go in the half. Miller stepping over to get the open shot, and that one pulled away by Hackett.
Miller has a hard time getting that shot off if he has to put it on the floor with a dribble. Much better when the ball is kicked back out to him.
Ginyard on the foul, and Hackett.
And Jim, of course, Hackett, who really should have been in high school this year.
It's a pretty amazing story.
It really is an amazing story. Of course, his father, who was on the bench over there at Southern Cal, was the great Rudy Hackett, that played here in the Big East for Syracuse and led his team to a Final Four.
There he is right there. Graduate of Syracuse '79.
And then went over to Europe to play and spent 20 years in Italy primarily. Raised actually his son there at that, and then brought him back to the States where he thought it'd be good for him to get a career started, but he's actually started 1 year early. Ryan Francis's tragic death took away a backcourt performer that would come would be on this lineup right now. And then, of course, when Gabe Pruitt got in academic difficulties, that opened the way for Hackett to come a little early. And he has really done the job.
So 1 of 2 for Daniel Hackett. Hits the front end of that 1-on-1. His dad is the strength and conditioning coach for this team, for Coach Tim Floyd and the Trojans.
And I would imagine will be in time a very good recruiter for international players.
Ellington down low to Ginyard.
Left hand.
And out to Stewart. Up ahead. There's Pruitt. And 1.
Frazier gets a piece of it. Southern Cal, without question, much quicker at almost every position in this game. North Carolina finding that hard to believe because they're quick. An excellent call by the official.
There's one thing. You got Lawson on one side. It's just lightning fast, but Gabe Pruitt, can he take off? He's got a first step that that no one is even prepared to stop.
Well, in the same way with Young, who's sitting on the bench taking a little rest right now, as it was very obvious to me at the start of this ball game, as easily as they were breaking down North Carolina off the dribble, much better quickness by Southern Cal.
To think the lead was 11, Carolina came back to tie it, and now USC pushes it back up to 9 and looking for more.
Nice decision by Hackett.
Hackett goes back out. Stewart steps in for the 2. No. Tipped up Gibson once, twice, and out to Frazier. So USC had a good chance there, denied.
And here you have Ellington out there, the kind of guy you might want to get a shot to at the end of this half. He's by far the best shooter they have on the floor. Frazier cannot beat Pruitt with the dribble. Doesn't have that kind of quickness, so he better get moving quicker than this.
With 6 seconds to go, Gibson steps over. It's right, and Hackett knocks it out with 0.8 seconds to go.
Jim, I didn't like that strategy at all. If you have a guard on the floor that's not good enough or quick enough to break down his defender with a dribble, you've got to get into action quicker than waiting to 5 seconds.
Will they get a shot here with less than a second? Frazier to inbound, and a timeout called first to set something up. 9-point lead, USC beating Hansbrough and the heels behind Nick Young and company. We're back for one last shot before the half. And USC brings in Adelaide Njai, 6'11", to guard the inbounds pass. Here's the lob to the far side. Ellington gets it off, and he almost hit the 3.
Good move by Tim Floyd. Njai's long arms made that pass have to go a little higher. You can see Njai right there, Jim. Look at those long arms, and he made that pass a tough one. A nice double screen, and Ellington got the shot he wanted. Couldn't get it.
Well, they got it off a pretty good shot.
Yeah,
they set that up, that double screen for Ellington. Game was tied at 26. USC 16-7 to close it.
And from the 3, Hansbrough not getting much activity whatsoever in that first half. The other thing that's interesting, when they shoot under 44% and the opponent shoots over 50%, they're in trouble. You know what they're shooting? 37%. Their opponent's shooting 50%. All earmarks that Southern Cal is in control. And you look up at the scoreboard, and they are.
Hansbrough with that only basket, and was from the outside. Fadeaway, Young in a double-digit lead. They've matched the largest of the night. It's 11. North Carolina going scoreless the final 4 minutes of the first half, missing their final 8 shots.
Wright has no chance whatsoever to guard Young at that distance.
It's Lawson dishing. Ginyard back of the rim, tipped out Stewart.
Taj Gibson is really presenting a force down in low, Jim. You notice how
North Carolina first half.
Right, they're trying to alter shots when they go in there. They really respecting him, and rightfully so. Here you go again. He just taking advantage of Wright's inexperience at playing a man on the wing.
Ellington tries to rifle it inside, and it's last touched by Southern Cal.
Probably had a pretty good shot of his own there, wide open from the foul line. And the key for North Carolina, they've got to establish some kind of a power game down low. Haven't been able to do that because the terrific play by Gibson on Hansbrough.
Carolina now over 5 minutes without scoring.
And they're going to give Ginyard a shot. Playing off of him, that allows them to sink down in Hansbrough.
7 to go on the shot clock. Where's North Carolina going with this possession? Ginyard flying in and is blocked and influenced by Gibson.
Terrific job by Gibson. What I've really impressed with Jim is the fact that he did play all the minutes in that first half, but looks like he's got a lot left in the tank.
10 rebounds already, a double-double established at this point now by Gibson, who's going to dunk it down.
He has 10 double-doubles on the year. And Roy Williams in serious trouble now.
Biggest deficit of the night for the Tar Heels. Every #1 seed has advanced to the Elite 8. And North Carolina trying to make it 4 for 4, but they're 13 down and the ball's going to Southern Cal.
And Hackett playing a guard position, Jim, but he's a big kid. What would you say, 6'5 and a half?
That's about right on.
Yep, almost 6'6". And here's that matchup. Pruitt It's quick enough to contend with Lawson.
You know, going back to the first half, not only now is it 6 minutes without scoring for Carolina, but it's 12 unanswered. Make it 15 in a row for the USC Trojans.
Roy Williams trying to wait for that TV timeout, but his team's in serious trouble right now.
Over the back, Gibson.
He called one right at the end of the half to try to get off in what was a well-conceived play, but it didn't work out because Ellington missed a jumper. But Roy Williams is letting this game get away from him here.
That's the second on Gibson. And USC by 16.
Not looking to take the shot. North Carolina a little hesitant on jump shots. They'll let Wright have it from that distance.
Gibson again. That one. Out to Lawson. Slashing Ellington. Heads up play by the freshman from outside of Philadelphia.
Jim, I wonder if Roy Williams will change and go to his zone. He has terrible matchups in the man-to-man situation, particularly with Young and Wright. Young much too quick for Wright.
That ends the dry spell that lasted almost 7 minutes for the Tar Heels. Now Hackett. Nobody from USC underneath. Ginyard. Ellington. Gibson has some absolute sure mitts, doesn't he?
And not only that, Jim, terrific timing on his part, and he got excellent position on Hansbrough. Stewart on a walk on the side, but he had a good pump fake looking to get that jump shot. You've got to go ahead and play him for the jumper. As I said, he's the new career three-point leader at Southern Cal, beating Brandon Granville, who had the record at 218. So you've got to go ahead out there and really challenge him, force him to put it on the floor.
And Stewart's twin is already in the Elite Eight. Twin brother Roderick with Kansas. He's playing UCLA tomorrow, and that's a kick on Hackett. He'll be playing UCLA tomorrow in the West Regional Final. But how about some of these baskets for USC?
There's Hackett just using that size and power. Doing likewise. That's after that tremendous steal he had in the first half. And you wonder why Wright does not get that ball down inside on Young and just play over the top of him. Wright loses it out of bounds. North Carolina in a daze.
Well, the lead was 9 coming out of the break at halftime, and now we're approaching the 16-minute mark, and a big start here for the Trojans. We approach the first break of the second half, the under 16 timeout coming. Tough pass. That was intended for Stewart. Hackett threw it at his ankles. Hansbrough again, only 2 points in the game. Coming off a 33 against Michigan State.
Well, you see what's happening. When Hansbrough's outside, Gibson is not going there to guard him.
Back out to Wright.
He's hanging back inside to help out on Wright.
And that's going to be the third on Young.
Costly foul for Southern Cal. Absolutely. Because of that matchup he has on Wright.
But Gibson in control inside. Billy, the University of North Carolina has just issued a statement. We've been waiting for them to do this all night, and here it is. University of North Carolina student Jason Ray, a senior from Concord, North Carolina, was injured in a pedestrian vehicle accident late this afternoon while walking outside a hotel in Fort Lee, New Jersey. Ray is considered a member of the cheerleading squad. He has worn the Ramesses mascot uniform the past 3 years and was to have performed tonight here at this game. He was taken to Hackensack Medical Center, and he is in critical condition. His parents have been notified and are en route to the hospital this evening. And Dick Bedore, the athletic director, says, "We are, quote, deeply saddened by this tragic accident. Our hearts go out to Jason and his family, and our prayers are with him." I have spoken to Jason's father by phone earlier this evening. Jason Ray struck by a car while walking outside of his hotel, the North Carolina mascot, and he is in critical condition. And our hearts and prayers go out to family of Jason Ray.
certainly do, Jim. And in this particular case, the cheerleaders and the team really did not know about it at the time. The cheerleaders then were told and agreed to come out and cheer tonight, but you know that their heart is with a valuable member of their group.
This young man has been their mascot for the last 3 years.
Right now, North Carolina was able to score on a pass that was intended for Hansbrough, but slipped out of his hands and right into Wright's hands for the basket.
On the run and with the roll, that is Green with the basket.
And Roy Williams is really sticking with his basic game plan, which is man-to-man. And you wonder if he's going to be able to go ahead and slow down these one-and-one moves. Here's Wright again on Young. That's the one advantage that Southern Cal has really had. And you wonder if North Carolina may try to go to a zone in this ball game. Great play, second time.
And a dunk.
Second time Green has thrown the ball away when his team had possession. And 2 times that Pruitt got it. Once in the first half and there again.
And to the line at last.
In fairness to Gibson, I'm not sure that Hansbrough didn't use his hand. There you see the pass. Pruitt putting it down. Big turnover for North Carolina.
That is the 3rd foul on Gibson, 2 of them coming after the intermission. Hansbrough has not made a field goal since 3 minutes and 4 seconds into the game. Now at the line to shoot 2. Now he made 13 free throws in the win over Michigan State, which was just 1 off the all-time North Carolina tournament record. As you see, Terry comes in for Green. Tommy Kearns had 14 made free throws in that classic epic game 50 years ago, the triple overtime game with Kansas. It was actually, Billy, 50 years ago tonight. This is the anniversary date of that, one of the great games in the history of college basketball.
His club played in the Final Four and played in 2 triple overtime games. Amazing to win the championship. Again, there's a wide open Terry who has played extremely well.
By Lawson. He saw that one coming, and North Carolina, here is the run.
Almost a complete replay of what we just saw happen to North Carolina on the last possession.
He says, hey, Gabe Pruitt, you're not the only one who can anticipate. Now Young. Let's see settle down now. Big stop to the hole. What a move by Gibson.
That young man is putting on a show in this game tonight against the first-team All-American, and he's having his way.
Back to a 10-point lead. Terry, baseliner.
Tough kind of shot to make if you haven't practiced for a couple of days.
And here he goes, Pruitt. To the wing, Stewart. Puts up a shot, and that's a 2, not a 3. But they're up a dozen.
Great comeback by Southern Cal after North Carolina makes a little run.
Uh-oh, that's going to be 4 on Gibson.
This is huge right here.
He picked up 3 in a hurry in this half.
He'll have to come out, and he has been the guy, Jim, in my estimation, on both ends of the floor that has controlled this game. Defensively, he's altered shots. He's done a tremendous job on Hansbrough, and offensively, he's been too tough to handle when he put the ball on the floor. Great performance by the freshman. All Pac-10 freshman, obviously.
Gibson out with 16 points and 11 rebounds. So Wilkinson takes his place.
And believe me, will not be able to do the same thing.
There's right on the follow-up. It's one reason you miss Gibson.
Absolutely.
Anything around the cylinder coming off the rim, he was getting.
Illegal screen.
And it's going the other way.
Stewart with that wide body sets some great screens out there, and you love to have a guy that's a good three-point shooter that sets screens. There's Wright coming in on Wilkinson. Be a little bit different now with Taj Gibson out of this ball game.
That's the first foul on Stewart.
And you can see Roy Williams telling Lawson, push the ball up the floor.
North Carolina starting to swing the momentum back to their side. They've been trailing throughout to USC. Hansbrough with the turnaround. No, but
right. How about that, Jim? He went into a second gear. He grabbed the rebound at about the basket level, and then all of a sudden elevated again. He's raised his fist to come out of the ball game right now, which is a tradition at North Carolina. When you're tired, you can put yourself back in, but they need him on the floor right now.
Deon Thompson will come in for him on the next break. It cut a 16-point lead of USC in half.
If Young saw that, he should try to take him one-on-one, and does.
That's a big call because Young has 3 fouls, but it's going against Carolina. Just the first foul of the second half on North Carolina. 8-point lead Trojans. Second half field goal percentages. USC 7 of 10, but that 9-point halftime lead is only 8. It had been up to 16 the early minutes of this half. Nick Young to the line for 2. What a story, this young man. And he's actually been followed by a documentary crew since his senior year in high school. And the documentary is called Second Chance Season. His mother, May, and Charles. His best friend off the court growing up. His biggest rival on the court, Jordan Farmar. Nick Young hits the free throws. Back to 10.
Big difference now with Gibson out of this ball game, isn't there? You can just feel the difference. Keith Wilkinson has 5 blocks on the year. He's come in to replace Gibson, who has 65 blocks on the year and has set a freshman record for rebounding, beating the great Cliff Robinson's record. So big difference on the floor right now.
Stewart, no.
Push
off called on Thompson of North Carolina.
No need to do it either because North Carolina had 4 men in rebounding position.
It was Ginyard at the other end who got the position over Hackett for the tap in. And USC will inbound underneath.
If Southern Cal realized that Young is the man right now, beautiful move. And there again, breaking down the North Carolina players. A smart move by Hackett, realizing Thompson's not going to handle him off that dribble. They've done it time after time in this ball game.
Second in a matter of seconds on Thompson.
With 10 minutes to go, I thought North Carolina might even try to go a little zone, Jim, to see if that would break up this great dribble penetration by Southern Cal.
Pruitt got stuck. Loose ball out to Miller, who fights for it, and North Carolina takes over.
Big possession right here to see if they can get that ball to Hansbrough with Wilkinson on it. He is fighting to get position.
Thompson with Young defending. And ball in the arms of the Trojans.
Boy, Young is really doing the job. He's guarding a bigger man all night long. He stepped on the line.
And can USC spring the big upset?
Now, Jim, when you take in consideration what they played in the Pac-10 tournament, Stanford, Washington State, and Oregon, I realize Oregon blew them out, but those 3 NCAA tournament-bound opponents. So this team is able to play against the best in the country.
Lawson drawing that one on Pruitt.
And as I watched the Pac-10 this year, I thought in terms of quality teams, it was the best league in the country. And I think in the NCAA tournament, their report card is going to probably show that.
There's a second on Pruitt. Just look what is happening right now with Oregon and USC playing at the same time. UCLA already in the 8. And put back for a second time by Ginyard and 1.
Ginyard, who we said started in the Southern Cal game last year. Perfect job as he slices in with nobody blocking out. He knows when Wright puts that ball up on the floor, as is the case with Hansbrough. You've got a pretty good chance going for an offensive rebound because they shoot soft shots inside.
How about Ginyard sneaking in there twice for putbacks?
Well, he's a terrific defender.
Thompson out.
He's been doing a good job since he's been on Stewart in this half. Now it's Green on Young. Pretty good matchup now for North Carolina for the first time.
Gibson's been sitting for 3 minutes. Carolina on a 21-10 run, and they're looking for more.
Oh, what a great pass.
Rolls off the rim. Well, I thought the pass was right on the money.
It really was, but when he had to stretch out a little bit too far, Jim, normally he would dunk that ball, but didn't have good steps.
Push off on Ellington. His first.
Roy Williams down on the other end of the floor saying, how about the push on my end of the floor? Doesn't get it. How about his record? 19 straight years.
With one win.
With one win in the tournament.
Yep.
Nobody has challenged that one. That's active today. And how about him as an active coach, winning over 80% of his games? He's up there with rarefied air of Claire B. and Adolph Rupp and John Wooden at that 80% plus.
Now Young, doubled up. Outside, Pruitt.
Nice rebound by Wright. He almost dunked that ball in the Southern Cal basket. He was looking at his teammate. That would have been some turnaround.
Over the top to Wright. Easy basket. And they're +9 since Gibson went out.
Now, Gibson has got 4 fouls on him, 8:26. I don't think he can wait much more than a minute longer to get him back in the ball game.
You knew the run was coming. 16 down to 3. Carolina 16 in the second half. Now within 3. And they've got Gibson back on the floor for the Trojans.
And Cromwell back on the floor, trying to go with 2 big men inside, maybe to save Gibson a little bit so he doesn't try to do too much.
That's Young. And he traveled.
First time Young showing some discouragement on his face. And let's see who Gibson guards in this matchup. Because North Carolina only has 1 big man on the floor.
He's going to stay
with Wright. Yep. Lob opportunity was there.
Lawson.
There it is.
Right.
Was that Ginyard getting his hands on the ball again? And he does.
3 times underneath. Now Ellington.
Tough pull up.
And in again by Ginyard. That's 3 times.
Is that unbelievable, Jim? There's so much presence in there to keep Wright off the boards that nobody's blocking out Ginyard. And Ginyard now matched up on Young. That's the best defensive matchup North Carolina can have.
Pruitt.
Push inside.
Ball called on Danny Green. Got the under 8 timeout. A 9-0 run, North Carolina. Thanks to number 1, Ginyard is it within 1. Well, Tyler Hansbrough, Billy, 1 of 5 from the field, 4 points and 2 rebounds.
Now, Jim, the only other game that I can think of, considering the fact that he had that injury to his nose, is the game against Gonzaga. He was 2 for 5 in that ball game, was handled inside fairly well, had 9 points and 4 rebounds. But Gibson has done an incredible job inside for Southern Cal, but now he's playing with the 4 fouls. Has to be careful. Good steal.
That's Green. Up ahead. Ellington with the lead. No! Green with the putback. And the Tar Heels are in front.
Isn't that amazing? Terrific job by Green and Ginyard to turn this around.
Danny Green has just made a steal and then followed up a miss by Ellington to give North Carolina the lead. And there's a block by Wright. Tar Heels are on a roll. Up ahead they go. Ellington this time. North Carolina by 3.
Beautiful job by Wright on that steal and then the pass. Would you think that maybe we have a tired team in Southern Cal a little bit? Again, that depth of North Carolina can wear on you.
I think they just got out of sync when Gibson got slapped with his 4th foul. They were never the same. He went out. North Carolina went on about a 12-point run.
But, Jim, when you look at the uniforms, take a look at Stewart's uniform. He's totally drenched. You have, even though Gibson's been out of the ballgame, his uniform totally drenched. Same way with Young. North Carolina players seem much fresher right now.
Cromwell, not an offensive threat. Pruitt. Will they catch fire again? That was the last touch. They saved by Stewart. Ellington back to the Tar Heels.
Yeah, Ellington pulled his hand away. Stewart seems to be very tired right now. Young just walking down the court. Thought Green had a notion there, didn't you?
Wright does.
Boy, I tell you, he elevates on that shot. It's just unbelievable. North Carolina now even putting a little pressure on the backcourt. They have got to get Young into the ball game offensively now. He hasn't touched it in a while.
15-0 stretch.
Here he comes. Pushed off and got away with it.
Back to Carolina. Pushing it ahead, right to the line for a couple.
Is he amazing with that long reach of his? How he can go ahead and catch and extend on the shots. Gifford with the offensive rebounding that's been just totally tremendous on his part. And there's Wright again. Tough man to handle. About the only weakness in this game, what you're going to see right here, free throw shooting.
Wright with 18 points and 9 rebounds.
And he, like a man that started the run for North Carolina in the ACC tournament, was the most valuable player in the tournament. The great Phil Ford did that as a freshman.
Ginyard, I really think if you focus on one player that fueled this comeback, it was Ginyard with the 3 offensive rebounds. One more for Wright.
Ginyard getting a start tonight for the first time in what must seem like ages for him, but he certainly has been tremendous off the bench. He's on Young defensively. That's the best matchup that North Carolina has for Young.
6 minutes without a basket for USC. 5 turnovers.
Tough shot.
Way off. Lawson. Blocked out by Stewart.
When Lawson puts an overdrive, it looks like everybody else is running in the other direction. It's amazing how quick he is with the ball.
He may have met his match though tonight with Pruitt. You know, when he gets going.
Early on, but right now, Southern Cal is a tired ball club.
Another foul on the Trojans. That's going to be on Cromwell. Discover friends you never knew you had with a 1-and-1 for Lawson.
And Gibson, Jim, who had to play all those minutes in the first half, seems to have slowed down, not only because of the foul trouble, but I think he's worn down a little bit. Cromwell couldn't get it done, and Wilkinson had his problems when Gibson went out of the ball game.
Since Gibson's come back now over 3 minutes ago, he's done nothing until right here, and that one rolls off floor.
Good job by Hansbrough, not having basket interference.
What a move, Ellington. Reversal.
2 different ball games here. Tremendous comeback by North Carolina, much like Ohio State last night. These #1 seeds, tough to get over.
That's a 3, Stewart.
And here comes Lawson again. They're just pushing the ball up the floor like the North Carolina team we've seen play well.
USC went 8 minutes and 12 seconds between baskets. And Wilkinson got a hand in there on Wright.
Lawson again putting the ball on the floor, finding a seam and just creating an offense all of itself. Great job by Ellington reaching out there, even with a tremendous shot blocking. Taj couldn't get to that one.
Just wonder, this has been such a blitz by North Carolina. Can somehow USC muster the energy to make one run of its own in the last 4 minutes?
Jim Wright, a 54% free throw shooter. And he buries it.
Danny Green's made some plays. He had a couple of passes picked off by Gabe Pruitt, but he also had a couple of steals right back. And he's in for Ellington.
Now, Wright with Lawson out there on the floor. Ellington just takes the spot out. This freshman class at North Carolina, the highest scoring freshman class in their history. Topping that great class that eventually went on to win a national championship with Sean May and company.
2 of 2 for that visit to the line by Wright. They got to get Nick Young going again, or Gibson. Stewart trying one. Barely got the feet planted.
Oh, good tap that time by Green.
Out to Ginyard. They come back out with it.
Smart play by Ginyard. Clock is their teammate right now, so you don't want to take any crazy shots.
Hansbrough, that's not crazy.
Nope. And a good offensive rebound on his part. A hold. Is that on Young?
It is, and for Young, that is his fourth. What a turnaround. Tar Heels back in control. Oh, Billy Packer, we were here. There was not 1 ounce of second guessing coming from anybody on the Vanderbilt side. You saw it live. You've seen it on the replay many times. Was that traveling?
I think if that had been called walking by any one of the 3 officials, none of which called it, all of which were looking right at the play because it was an end of game type situation, I don't think it was a travel at all. It would have to be a very fine line there. I thought it was a great play by Green.
What about Clark's point that the pivot foot came up?
I don't know if I don't know that it did what I saw, but I would love to have that play relayed to Hank Nichols and see what he thinks about it. But it would be a very tight call.
Gibson trying to get it back. And it's staying with USC.
Boy, give Gibson a lot of credit there. 3 men around him, and give Roy Williams a lot of credit. 730 win seasons. He really had a great heart today and a strong mind to stay with his game plan, even though everything was going wrong for him.
That's Pruitt with the follow-up.
Just 6 points, and here you see Southern Cal with a little pressure. Tough to pressure Lawson. He dribbles so low to the floor. And North Carolina like to give him the ball. Here he is.
Is there a spark still in the Trojans?
Bad place to pick up the dribble. Wow.
Wow. 3 on the shot clock.
Not a good possession for North Carolina under this situation. 2:27 to go. 6-point lead. You want to get something inside.
Again, if you're USC and you can forget about how it got to this point, how you blew the 16-point lead, and you get a run going here, and Young had a chance to cut it in half.
That was a pretty good play by Green getting over there on Young. Young liked to have that shot back. We can see a little offense for defense substitution as Ellington comes into the ball game. Who's going out? Right, going smaller. See if Lawson keeps his dribble, tries to beat him off the dribble.
Two minutes to go. Carolina up 6.
Using the clock here, Jim, but they've got to get something good on this possession. It's always great to have it in this man's hand at the end of that clock winding down.
Now Ellington. Shot blocked. Hansbrough. Shot clock violation. Back to USC.
2 weak possessions by North Carolina. The last 2 times down the floor.
And Roy's bringing Brandon Wright back into the game for Ellington.
You can see what he's doing. He's substituting offense for defense, but you know, it's not like Wright isn't a pretty good guy to have on the offensive end of the floor as well. Here for Southern Cal.
They've got to produce on this trip. That's Young. He hit the floor. He wanted the foul. There's no call.
Nice block out by Hansbrough.
Timeout, North Carolina. Came from the bench. Roy Williams wants to get a little more out of this next possession.
Hey, Jim.
Billy, we're going to make a quick move over to New York. Back to you, Greg Gumbel. And North Carolina taking its time out of the break as we approach a minute to play.
They've had 2 possessions where they've come up with nothing.
And again, empty.
And the third. North Carolina has not gone inside to Hansbrough on any of the last 3 possessions. Trying to utilize clock. Illegal screen, and that's all for Gibson.
Wow.
And, oh, that's a technical foul. Oh, I can't believe that Tim Floyd did that. His team is still in the game. He's on the floor, threw the tickets on the floor. Gibson will be out of the game with a foul, and then he's going to have a technical 2-shot foul.
You better be careful. He might get another one.
Oh, that was not a smart play on his part at all. Hurts his ball club in that situation.
He can't believe the call against Gibson at a time like that with 48 seconds.
Well, Jim, it was a foul, and it wasn't a controversial call whatsoever. He's got himself in a situation where he's got a 2-possession game and now puts himself basically out of the game. Not what you want to do at all. You can see the reach. And here he comes, and he throws it right down, walks onto the floor, and easily picks up a technical foul. He's got to show more patience than that.
Well, that's going to be 2 and possession, which will pretty much all but lock it up.
You know, it's one thing, you know, you might get emotionally charged, Jim, on a very controversial call, but that was a basic Gibson reaching on out, illegal screen. North Carolina gets the ball back after making 2, puts them up 8. He better get back. He's not in the coaching box now either. He's on the floor. Oh, how about that?
Almost coming out of the hands of Lawson. And there's a foul on Pruitt.
Well, this was Ginyard's night, Jim.
Yes, it was. You know, he got the start in the second half. He came in and really gave them the boost they had to have.
Just a tremendous effort by a young man who is a great defender, outstanding competitor, and he's been patient with his playing time this year, having been a starter last year.
Got 9 points, Billy, to go with 9 rebounds.
And solid defense, particularly in this second half, cutting down the likes of Young, and when he was guarding Stewart as well.
Billy, we're moving in on a little anniversary game here on Sunday. Georgetown and North Carolina, 25 years down the road after their title game tilt. It came down to a freshman from Carolina hitting the jumper.
Nondescript number 23.
It was 23, wasn't it? Yeah, I can't remember his name. I remember his number.
Here you see Floyd walks out on the floor and picks up that technical. North Carolina will seal this up. Tremendous comeback on the part of the Tar Heels. How about Wright, instead of taking the shot, says, hey, we've got this ball game. Shows a lot of maturity there.
I've never seen 2 different games like this one.
Unbelievable. Give Roy Williams a lot of guts as a coach to stay with that game plan when it looked like his team was totally outplayed.
Tar Heels turn on the afterburners. And they're on to the Elite 8 matchup with Georgetown.